guys, it's Scott from the DTFF Volunteer Firefighter Podcast. Today we're going to be doing some training at the training ground with a few of the guys, and we're actually going to go over something called the Hinge Rescue. Now the Hinge Rescue recently is kind of being popularized in YouTube. A lot of departments are doing it. It's essentially when there's a ladder being used to get somebody down off a roof. There's a ladder, some rope, and they're using a basket stretcher. So we're going to go over to the training ground. We're going to go over it a little bit more in depth. And we're going to show you another option of how we can turn that lowering device into a raising device. So take a look. Okay, so today we're going to be doing the Hinge Rescue, which is commonly used for removing a patient off of a roof, maybe out of a second-story window. It's good when you don't have a ladder truck, so really good for volunteer departments. It's fairly quick. It takes a little bit of rope and a basket stretcher, and obviously an extension ladder. So the guys are just setting up right now, so we're going to go over there and take a look at what they did. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is Todd's going to talk about some patient care stuff, because obviously we have a patient in the basket for the removal off the roof.
So the biggest thing to remember is we're taking them off. It's usually because of a medical problem or some sort of traumatic incident that occurred. So the safest practice is spine board with your slider straps. We're putting our straps on, shoulders down, nice and snug. Don't put a strap over any obvious injury if he's got a lower leg injury. And then different techniques for the basket stretcher. We're just using the straps, the seatbelt straps, or you can use webbing or rope and actually make a harness. Things to consider are, as you go off, it's going to want to slide down a little bit. So make sure you've got a piece of webbing or a base plate to support the patient in the spine board, and also the clamshell, so he doesn't have that sensation that he's sliding off, and to secure him. If you're using any sort of C-spine precautions, just normal procedures as you would with your first responder ticket or what the ambulance is asking you to do. So it's a collar. If it's simple spinal precautions, you don't need to sandbag or strap the head. If it's full spinal, then sandbag and strap the head as well.
We just wanted to show once everything's tight and adjusted. Spencer's going to explain the brake bar and some of the rigging we've done.
So what we're going to use for lowering today is a brake bar rack. We've only got one patient and a basket stretcher, so we're probably not going to need a whole lot of bars in our brake bar rack. I may even pull one more out. What you're going to look for is a really bomb-proof anchor, whatever that's going to be. For your descent control device, you can use your brake bar rack or an MPD or whatever your department chooses to use. Once we get going, I'm probably going to stand up and move closer to the edge, because I still be able to control this brake bar and see what's going on if I move myself away. I don't want to get focused on looking at this, because there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. And then when it comes time to raise, we'll change it over and show you that.
Okay, so we've talked about the lowering device at the other end, at the head end of the patient. Let's talk a little bit about the ladder setup now. So using just a standard extension ladder, this is actually a shorter ladder that we have on our rescue truck. It could be used on smaller buildings. You could do this rescue using a larger extension ladder as well. The setup here, we've just taken some webbing and wrapped it around the rungs of the ladder. It's however you feel feels needed for the setup, as long as it's safe. We've used double carabiners, locking carabiners. We have two firefighters down below for safety, and they also control the ladder from rolling side to side. And once they get down below, it helps with patient care. So that's what our setup looks like right now. You want the ladder footed right against the building, so there's no movement when our weight gets put on from the patient being lowered. Okay, so now that we got the whole package put together, the lowering, the 2 firefighters down below, we're gonna lower the patient to the ground. We're doing it right now with minimal firefighters. We can, you can have 5, 6, whatever. This is pretty much the minimum number we would need to do this. My job up here is going to be edge control, making sure there's not too much of a bump when the patient goes down. Spencer's doing the brake bar, as we discussed earlier, and the 2 firefighters down below, Ash and Todd, are going to be controlling the ladder so it doesn't slip. Okay, so we'll do it. Okay, lower. So once we get here, there's going to be a slight bump where the knot is. So with the intention, we'll lower the knot over. Make sure my hands are clear. Once we're the knots, we're all rather ready. Go on, good face. And we're down. So then from there, we unhook them and get them into the ambulance. Okay, lower.
Lowering.
Go on, it's okay. Knots. Knots. So 2 feet. 1 foot. Down, little front. Okay, lowering. Lowering. Good face. Going. You're at the knots. Do the knots for 2 feet. 1 foot. We're down. Okay, so we've just showed the Hinge Rescue coming down off of an elevated position. One thing that we've started doing, or we've done in the past, is getting a patient out of a hole, such as a basement. A lot of times when construction workers build the basement, obviously there's no steps or stairs built yet. So if someone falls into that hole, there's really limited options on getting them out. There's ways you can set up almost like a rail system using a ladder. We find this method just as easy. Then the cross training is there already because we can already go down. It takes some adjustment up top, which we'll go to in a minute to show how Spencer does that. Other than that, everything else is basically the same. And we'll go to the up top.
All right, so we talked about the conversion over to the hull system. This is the line going to our basket here. It's basically the same line that we used to lower. Here's our brake bar rack we used to lower. What we've done here is just a change of direction. We've added a prusik for safety, and this is a prusik minded pulley, so as we pull on our system, the pulley is just going to stop that prusik from doing anything. If anything catastrophic fails over here, this prusik is going to hold on to our patient. And it's also, if we need to reset our 3-to-1 mechanical advantage setup, we'll be able to set our system on this prusik in order to hold it where it's at. All right, so we've got a change of direction in this pulley. It's the same anchor that we were using before with a bear pot, so we can add multiple pieces of equipment on there. What we've done here in our training facility, we've had another change of direction so we can get a long pull on our mechanical advantage 3-to-1 setup. And here we've added a prusik to hold on to the haul rope. And you rope people out there are going to start to recognize this as a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage setup. We've got another anchor at the far end of our sea can over there with another pulley. So basically the rope goes to that anchor, comes back here to this pulley, and then we're going to pull on this rope, giving me the strength of 3 near humans pulling on this. If we didn't have the type of length that we have here, we'd end up having to reset this, because for every 3 feet that I move on this line, the basket comes up 1 foot, because it's a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage, making me 3 times stronger.
Okay, so one thing we haven't talked about is the actual protection of the on the edge for when the rope is sliding over. So we made some stuff out of actually out of some PVC pipe and just some rope. So it kind of hangs down. So it looks like a ladder, but it hangs down over the edge and it works quite well. And it adds that frictionless surface. So there's no damage to the rope. You can also use a rescue tarp or even a blanket would work. It would probably lose once because the friction would probably burn through the blanket. But in a situation where you need to do it, that's what you might need to use. Alternative, or in addition to this, you can also add a blade like device for the ropes for another safety. In case this rope fails, we'd have a second backup rope. It depends on the height, obviously, what sort of edge you're dealing with, and the urgency of the care we need to provide. So we could add more stuff to this. We're just doing a very basic setup right now. Raising. Drops and going. Good speed. Going. Okay, raising. Going. Come to the knot. Going. Going. Up. Feet. Up. So that was a Hinge Rescue. One thing we can't focus on enough is communication. Make sure you're communicating with each other a lot, whether you're on the lowering line or the team down below with controlling the ladder. Constant communication. The other thing is make sure you're training it before you do it. So get on the training ground, train it. You can do it off a CCAN like we did. We also have a higher burn building that we can do it off of. You can do it off of your fire hall roof. Whatever you're going to use, just train it lots. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to, you can check us out on Facebook at the DTFF Volunteer Firefighter Podcast. And also, we have a weekly podcast called the Volunteer Firefighter Podcast. Check us out.
I'd like to throw a shout out to Dick's Hamburgers in beautiful downtown Spokane, Washington. The best hamburger in the Pacific Northwest. You go grab yourself a bag of Dick's.